Did you know in Skyfall, sales for cutthroat razors jumped up about 400% in the week after the film's launch? Retailers reported sales increased 50 to 400% due to the scene where Moneypenny gives Bond an erotic close shave with a classic-style straight razor. Moneypenny states,
"Sometimes the old ways are the best."
If you like this, subscribe for more. Did you know in The Dark Knight, Christian Bale punched Heath Ledger for real? There's no doubt that a huge part of Heath Ledger nailing his performance as the Joker was his commitment to the role. He earned himself an Oscar and gave us what's undoubtedly one of the greatest villain performances of all time. But it was during a tense interrogation scene where he really proved his commitment. As Batman is beating up the Joker, Heath asked Christian Bale to hit him for real as he was already throwing himself around pretty hard to make it as realistic as possible. Did you know in Kill Bill Volume 1, the bride's real name is revealed? Throughout both volumes of Kill Bill, Uma Thurman's character's name is a mystery to viewers. Not only does her name get bleeped out, but she's only referred to as Kiddo by Bill, and is even officially credited as the bride at the end of Volume 1. However, eagle-eyed viewers would have noticed that while she passes out over her boarding pass for the plane to Japan, her full name is on the top right corner of the ticket, spoiling it before the big reveal at the end of Volume 2. Did you know in Evil Dead, 95% of the film was actually shot in chronological order? It made it easier to shoot everything in a controlled environment, and this way it didn't matter what kind of mess they made with the blood on the walls. This also helped with continuity since they didn't have to worry about cleaning up after each shot. They ended up using 70,000 gallons of fake blood, and 50,000 of that was used in the final scene alone. The original film only used about 200 to 300 gallons. Originally, this film was slated for an NC-17 rating, but they toned it down to an R rating so that it could have a wider release. Sam Raimi and the director were perfectly content with keeping the NC-17 rating though, since the original film had it as well. Did you know in Furious 7, the change in scheduling for the development of this film made it possible for The Rock to participate, but Justin Lin had to step down. There was talk of pursuing an accelerated schedule, so Justin couldn't return to direct since it would interfere with Fast and Furious 6 post-production. He didn't want to affect that quality. As for Dwayne Johnson, since they decided not to go through with this scheduling, he was able to finish Hercules and make it to filming for this. If you like this, subscribe for more. Did you know in Jurassic Park, you can see an operator in the background who shouldn't be there? During the tense and terrifying scene in which raptors attempt to get Lex and Tim, who are hiding in the kitchen, a raptor manages to open the door using its head. When the raptor makes its way through the door, you can see the hand of one of the operators on its back tail. The production operator was holding the raptor's back tail to push it through the door, and this of course shouldn't have been left in, but it was an easy mistake to make. Did you know in F9 The Fast Saga? The film itself mentions how outrageous the series has gotten over time. At around 35 minutes, Roman mentions how weird it is that they keep going on missions where death is inevitable, and he points out that he has absolutely no scars to show for it.
I ain't got one single scar to show for it.
Ramsey simply replies,
It's just luck.
If you like this, subscribe for more. Did you know in Logan, there was originally a scene filmed that explained what triggered Charles' dementia, and this also explained the catastrophe at his Westchester school. The flashback was supposed to take place during the seizure attack at Harrah's in Oklahoma. They say that the scene was cut because having less information allowed the audience to focus on the characters, but co-writer Michael Green stated that the omission of the flashback hits home harder than having it in. Did you know in Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin suffered a permanent injury thanks to another cast member? During the scene in which Kevin McAllister gets hung up on a coat hanger by the two robbers Marv and Harry, Kevin gets threatened by Harry, who says, "I'm gonna bite each one of your fingers off one at a time." During rehearsal, Joe Pesci accidentally took it too far and actually broke the skin on Macaulay's finger, who obviously wasn't too impressed, and even to this day still has the scars on his finger from the bite. Did you know in Back to the Future, the mall changes names after Marty alters the past? When Marty McFly first meets up with Doc to see the DeLorean, the name of the mall they meet at is called the Twin Pines Mall. However, we later see when Marty comes back from the past, the name of the mall is now the Lone Pine Mall. And that's because when he first went back into the past, Marty ran over one of the two pine trees where the mall would later be built. So there were no longer twin pine trees, rather a lone pine tree, hence the name change. Did you know in Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino left a hilarious joke in the end credits? Towards the end of the movie, we can see Pumpkin and Honey Bunny continue their robbery on the diner, and at one point, they even hold the coffee shop manager at gunpoint. When asked if he's being a hero, the manager responds with, "I'm not a hero, just a coffee shop," before he gets cut off. As a joke, the actor who plays him is actually listed in the credits as having played Coffee Shop. Did you know in Suicide Squad, one of the scenes they used in the trailers was heavily edited for the theatrical release? There's a scene in the bar where Harley takes everyone's orders, and in the scene, Deadshot calls for a shot. Katana wants a whiskey, Croc and Boomerang go for a beer, and Diablo states that he would prefer water. After hearing this, Harley jokes that this is a good idea. In the final cut, the scene cuts straight to them almost succeeding in their mission. But in the extended cut, the order sequence is put back and along with more dialogue from Deadshot and Diablo. Did you know in Blade 2, not all of the scenes with Blade in it were performed by Wesley Snipes? Wesley wasn't always available for filming, since he had 3 other films he filmed in the same year. Instead of waiting, the crew used another actor that wasn't his stunt double. The first scene is where Blade, Scud, and Nyssa are riding in the helicopter to meet Damaskinos. After that, there's a scene where Nyssa performs the autopsy on the dead Reaper and confronts Blade. Did you know in Die Hard, Alan Rickman was tricked on a stunt he did? Alan Rickman gave us another iconic performance of his as Hans Gruber in the 1988 classic Die Hard. But his death scene was somewhat of a surprise to him. Gruber meets his demise after being dropped from one of the top floors of Nakatomi, and Rickman decided he wanted to do the stunt himself and be dropped from around 40 feet onto a crash pad. He was given a countdown, but they dropped him on 1 instead of 3. So the shocked look on Gruber's face is actually Rickman's genuine reaction of being dropped too early. Did you know in Riddick continues his trend of calling out how he plans to kill people. In the animated short Dark Fury, Riddick tells Junior that he'll bury his weapon in Junior's eye. He does just that. In Chronicles of Riddick, he threatens to kill a prison guard with a teacup, and he does just that. In Riddick, he predicts that he'll kill Santana within a 5-second window, and after he does just that, he exclaims,
"I like to be a man of my word."
If you like this, subscribe for more. Did you know in Shaun of the Dead, Simon and Edgar actually considered doing a sequel that would have replaced the zombies with some sort of other monster? They ultimately decided that the film worked well as a standalone product, and too many characters ended up dying to continue the story. The working title for the sequel was From Dusk Till Shaun, but the idea did pop up later on. A mocked-up poster of it can be seen in the film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Did you know in Gremlins, there were quite a few changes from the original script? Originally, Mr. Hansen was supposed to die from dozens of hypodermic needles stuck in his face. This scene was reshot with a single needle in the buttocks. When Lynn Peltzer stabs the gremlin to death in the kitchen, there was actually an unused effect where the gremlin would actually try to pull the knife out of its own body. The crew decided that this was too distressing, and they removed the shot. You can actually see the effect over her shoulder as she microwaves some of the other gremlins. Originally, Murray was going to be killed by the gremlins, but the filmmakers decided that this was too harsh. They decided to make it so that the news reporters at the end of the film states that he'll talk to Murray at the hospital instead. Did you know in Bandit, different health factors changed the production from the very beginning? Due to COVID-19, filming was relocated from Canada to Georgia, and it doubled as 1986 Vancouver and Ottawa. Also, Nestor Carbonell actually tore his Achilles tendon early on, and he decided not to go back to LA for surgery. Instead, he stayed for the remainder of filming, and he finished all his scenes while wearing a walking boot. Did you know in the Black Panther Wakanda Forever trailer, the music for the trailer potentially reveals the main focus of the film? The recent trailer for the highly anticipated sequel to Black Panther uses Nigerian singer Temz's cover of the Bob Marley song No Woman, No Cry. The lyrics of the song are important and fitting, given that many of the cast are strong female leads, especially Queen Ramonda, who has not only lost her husband but now her son T'Challa, and will have to deal with leading Wakanda through the upcoming battle against Namor and his tribe. Did you know in Speak No Evil, the original ending would have actually featured other people being executed in many different ways? They would have ended up using 30 people from other houses who would have also had guests they planned to execute. Due to complications with filming all of the extras and wanting to simplify the plot, they changed the ending a week before. This gave us the ending we got, where only the couple is executed.